Okay, today we're going to learn how to make some biltong. I got some about 3 kilos of rump steak or whole rump from the butcher. Very kindly cut it up for me. As you can see, nice pieces of meat. What I do first is I just using this rock salt. Now you have to use rock salt, don't use anything thinner than this. It's got to be nice and chunky, otherwise you can't get the stuff off. So all I do here is I just sprinkle. You don't want to cover it too much, otherwise it's too salty. And I'll just turn that over and do the other side. And this is quite thin, so I reckon this will only take 45 minutes to salt. So there's the first piece. I just grab the second piece and slap it on top of that lot. Just pat it down a bit. And off we go with the next piece, and so on and so on. You just keep building up a stack.
You know that you put sugar on it.
There's no sugar on this yet. So this is my biltong stack with all the salt. Charlie, do you like biltong? Thumbs up.
Yes.
You love it? Jake? Alright, so this is what it looks like with all the salt on it. You can see I've just all stacked it up. So that's all good to go. That's going to now wait for about, these aren't the thickest pieces of steak, so I reckon 45 to 50 minutes. Just leave them like that and we'll be good to go. So now we'll go over to the spices. Okay, so now we're about to make the spice. The first thing I do is I get some black peppercorns. Don't know whether you can see those. Yeah, there you go. And you just sort of put in whatever, however hot you like it. I just sprinkle a bit in. Yeah, that'll do. And I give that a quick grind. Now you can use some water and pestle here as well if you want it. I just find this is easier. Stop. There you go. There's all your black peppercorn all done, ready to go. Now what we're going to do is the coriander seeds, which is the most important thing in biltong. So to do this, all I do is put on the old frying pan. If you want to use the back one, it's a bit bigger. There we go. And we wait for that to get hot. While we do that, I'll just talk you through some of the other things you could use. This here is excellent garlic powder. I always add a teaspoon of that. Makes it taste fantastic. Then the other things you can add depending on what your tastes are like. Stuff like this, Portuguese spices or seasoning. You can use Moroccan. You can use smoked paprika, which I don't have a bottle of that, but that's excellent as well. Gives it a barbecue flavour. And of course chili flakes. So what we then do is we take our coriander seeds, which look like this. This is 40 grams, and 40 grams will generally get you about 3 kilos of meat. Now I've only got about 2 kilos today, so this is going to be too much, so I won't use all of this today. So we just throw those in there. And this is the base ingredient of the spices in biltong. Wouldn't taste the same without it. Oh, you can see that starting to smoke now. So that is almost starting to come off now. You can hear it sizzling a little bit. So, right, to me, that's good to go. Let's stick that over there. Now this is where obviously you've got to be quick because you don't want them to burn. So what I'm going to do now is put this into my pot. In terms of actual grinding this, you don't want it into a fine powder. You want a bit of texture to it. So you'll see when I crank this on that I don't, it's not on for long. Okay, so in it goes. One more thing that I haven't added that I need to add is a teaspoon of brown sugar. Which is an important ingredient. And here I just chuck sort of, like a heaped teaspoon will do. Throw that in. Okay, set it to coarse and then whirl it up. See, there's a few peppercorns there, so I reckon that's probably, you know, you do want a few corns. I might do it a little bit longer, not much though. That's it, done. Okay, like that. Now this is the traditional biltong recipe. So if you stop now and put this on your meat, this would be what they would have done all those years ago. But now with all the other stuff that you can do, this is when you start experimenting a bit. So what I'm going to do with this batch is I'm just going to add, I always add garlic powder. So a teaspoon of garlic powder, teaspoon and a half, why not? And I'm just going to add a little bit of this this Portuguese seasoning. It gives it a nice bit of bite to it, not too much bite though. So just a little bit of that, and that's going to be my base seasoning. Okay, now I'm just going to show you what the sauce that once you take the salt off, which I'll show you how we do in a little while. You brush the meat with a mixture of the stuff here. So obviously the base one is malt vinegar or brown vinegar. Just sort of, I don't know how much goes in, just sort of like that. The quantities don't really matter too much here, unless you have a hankering for something else. So just chuck some Worcestershire sauce in. Yep. And the secret ingredient, which I really like, gives it a nice flavour, is soy sauce. So I just chuck a little bit of that in, and just to give it a hint of spice, bit of Tabasco. 2 drops of that, or more if you want to make it hotter, but that's a good way of adding a bit of heat to the biltong. Might add a bit more vinegar, just whatever. That's it. Okay, so that's the what I'm gonna sprinkle, not sprinkle, but I'm gonna brush the meat with once I've taken the salt off. So next stop is the salt, which I'll show you how I get rid of that. Okay, so welcome back. It's been about 50 minutes now, and as you can see from my meat, quite a bit of the blood has released. And now it's time to get rid of all that salt. So this is why we use the thick salt. The other thing is you must always make sure you put your meat in either in plastic or glass bowls. Never put it in steel when you're doing the curing, because it leaves a bad taste. So what I do now is I just grab that, and I've got another one of these big bowls. Let's chuck it in there. And I keep going, basically just scrape it all off with the old hands. And that's that. Okay, so we finished scraping all the salt off the meat. Now, one thing I didn't say is never ever wash the meat or try and rinse it off with something else. Just use your hands to get rid of the salt. If you use water or even vinegar, it doesn't. Well, you just don't do it. So, alright, now all we have to do is coat the meat with a marinade or vinegar mixture that we made before. So here it's just a quick, this doesn't take long. Make sure you coat all of it though, because this helps cure it obviously. Next piece, coat both sides. Again, I'm using these plastic bowls. And you get the drift of it, so you just keep working through that, keep piling it up, and after that we'll put the spices on, and then we're ready to hang. Okay, I've just finished putting the marinade on the meat. I never let it wait, I never let it sit in the marinade for any length of time. As soon as they're all covered up, I then start putting the spices on. I have left it to soak a few times, and I don't know, it just doesn't give the meat a great flavour. So here all I do is I just get my fingers, here's the spice, and off we go. They give it a nice coating of spice. This is actually quite a coarse lot. Sometimes I grind it a bit more than this. This is actually quite a coarse batch, but that's alright. Still be good. Okay, and again, just working both sides of it, covering the meat. And yeah, so that's all I do now. So just keep seasoning the meat and stacking it. And as soon as this is done, it is ready to hang onto the hooks, and I'll see you then. Okay, the next thing I've got to do is just sterilize the hooks that I'm going to use to hang the meat. Now, here all I do is I've tried proper meat hooks and stuff, but I just find that the good old paper clip is probably the easiest thing to use. All I do is I take it and I basically bend it over like that, and you can see it looks like that. So basically I'll use that little hook to hang it on, and then just stick that through the meat. So I do about, I don't know, 20 or 30 of those, chuck them in a cup like that, and just sterilize them with some hot water. Okay, so this is my biltong box, which I made out of just a cupboard. Cost me $2 from the local tip. So you can see it's got hooks at the top, a globe at the bottom, and a fan up there on the left. So a couple of things about this box that are important. You see this blue mesh, got it from a $2 shop. You can see there's holes behind those meshes, so it's important that you have holes at the top, holes at the bottom, and that they're covered so that no flies and stuff can get in. And if you come around this side, you should be able to see the fan sort of in the back there, along with all the other rubbish that's in my garage. So yeah, so we're almost now ready to start hanging. Okay, so ready to hang it now. All I do here is I just grab a piece of meat and work it from the back, just shove it through there and hang it onto one of the back hooks. Okay, like so. What I sometimes do as well is, you can see that it sometimes curls, especially if you've got really big pieces of meat. So what I then do is, just to stop the meat curling on itself, I use 2 of these, like in this situation here, and I just push it through there and hang it onto there. So now if you look at that piece of meat in there, it's nice and straight. It's not curled in any way. And yeah, that's it. The other good thing is, you see these little hooks here, they're very useful as well, because you can actually turn them. So if you need to change the way the meat's facing, you just turn it, and that will change its orientation, which is very useful. So yeah, that's it. And then I'll hang all of that up, and I'll get back to you when it's all done. We'll put the lights on, put the fan on, close it up, and about 3 days later you should have some nice biltong. I will now switch the box, switch the light on. I'll switch the fan on. There we go. Remove that. You can see that I've put down clean tin foil. And all we do now is to cover it all so nothing gets in it. So again, I've actually given this all a good clean on the inside before I put the meat in there. So it's all been cleaned except for the outside here, which is a bit mucky. But that is that.